name is John Butt, and I'm a supervisor of deli and bakery for Provided Bakeries Incorporated. We handle the commissaries for the military. My bases that I handle are Fort Hamilton in Brooklyn, Fort Carlisle in Pennsylvania, McGuire Air Force Base in New Jersey, West Point in New York.
Okay. Now, where did you grow up?
I grew up, and I was born in Brooklyn and grew up on Long Island.
As a child, what did you want to be when you became an adult?
My first thing that I always wanted to be was a history teacher. I always had a fascination about history, about our society, where we came from, and it always was something I always wanted to do, but unfortunately, sometimes family dictates what you become. We had our own grocery store that my father owned as a child, and he had a heart attack while I was in college, and I had to take over the business, and one thing led to another, and I just stayed in the business all these years.
Do you think that shaped you as a person?
More than likely. I was always interested, like I said, in history, and believe it or not, you could use history even in business.
How so?
Well, you don't make mistakes that are repeated throughout history in business. Business is also history. And people make the same mistakes, and you learn from those mistakes, and you don't use them again.
Now, you said you have a bunch of different locations. There's some in New York, some in New Jersey, Pennsylvania. How long is your standard commute every day?
Well, my main base is in McGuire Air Force Base, so my main commute is about 40 miles a day. But once or twice a week, I may travel to Brooklyn, which is 100 miles away from the base one way. So it can get pretty hectic. You're on the turnpike, you're driving most of the time. You don't get to do nearly what you should be able to do because you're doing most of your time traveling. I try not to stay overnight at any bases, and I try to be home all the time. At night anyway.
Is it frustrating to have to go so far sometimes?
It's very frustrating, especially in today's world, where you would think that you could do most of your business on the computer. But being that I work with the military, and we're private contractors, we don't get the connections. So basically I don't have a computer to work with. So I have to do everything by phone, or be going there in person.
Can you give me a brief rundown of your responsibilities, like what a typical day is from beginning to end?
Well, there's no typical day.
Oh, okay.
What you do is more or less you're troubleshooting. If there's a problem in a base, you're supposed to go there and solve the problem. What I do is quality control over products. I look at new products. I test the product. I will order products. I will hire people and fire people. That's probably the worst thing you can do, but sometimes it's necessary. We try to run our business like a family. We promote everybody from within. We don't go to the outside to get people. And it works very well, especially in this kind of situation. You have mostly military personnel, basically wives that work. And they stay there for as long as their husbands stay on the base. And sometimes you lose some really good people, and there's nothing you can do about it. But basically you're at the mercy of what the military dictates.
When you say products, you mean like meats and cheeses and whatnot?
Well, that used to be what deli bakery would be all about. Would be about the cold cuts for the deli and cheeses, and bakery would be your standard bread and rolls. But it has evolved now, and that a lot of your product now is what you sell off the floor. And deli, of course, it's pre-cut products. But also there's a great demand for fast foods, which is not your typical fast food that you would get in McDonald's or Burger King or something like that. It's product that they can microwave. And we get a large amount of product that we sell, like Indian food, quiches, pizza, and then we have a large sandwich making thing we do with paninis and hot food, and we do chickens. It has evolved from when I first started, when it was just standing behind a counter and slicing meat. Now it has very little sometimes to do with that. We're not your typical supermarket. Supermarkets are run a little differently than we are. So we're more involved in trying to please people from all over the world, basically, because there's, as like McGuire, which is our largest base, you would have people from Asia, Russia, from the West Coast, from down south, all over the world buying. So you have to please them with different products. So it's not the same. It's not a deli bakery per se like you would see in a supermarket.
Who provides all the food and product?
What we have to do is we have to go out and get distributors. Our main distributors for the meats would be, which people probably heard of, is Dietz & Watson, Boar's Head. And then you have a low end, which a lot of people will buy, especially retirees, but it's still a good product. It's just that it doesn't have the name of a Boar's Head or a Dietz & Watson. In bakery, it's totally different. Most of your product comes in frozen. And it's not like it was years ago where you would have dough, roll it, and make the product. The product's already in the shape. What you have to do with bakery is you have to put it in a proofer, let it rise, and then put it in the oven. It's sometimes can be time consuming, but it tastes very good and it's quicker than trying to make it all yourself. We also carry a par-baked items, which you don't have to do as much work. You just throw it in the oven for 20 minutes and it comes out. And it's very popular. So basically, when you talk about where does it come from, it comes from all over.
Yeah. Do you think the companies are trustworthy?
Well, boys, we as a military have a very strict code. We have to run everything through the military. We have to give, which we call DECA headquarters, where the contracts are. We have to give them a rundown of every product that we have. We have to give them paperwork in every product. The companies have to be inspected by the military before they're even allowed to come on base. So they will go to, say, Boar's Head, and go through their whole process, how they make their product. And if they fail, we're not allowed to buy it. So basically, it's what the military decides is acceptable is what we're allowed to sell.
How long, I know you said it mostly comes in frozen and stuff.
Well, the bakery comes in frozen.
Right. How long do you hang on to it before you throw it out or dispose of it?
Well, now you go from, products have a manufacturing date on them and an expiration date on them. So you would take it from the expiration date from a frozen product. It could stay in the freezer sometimes up to 6 months, but once you open it, now you have cut the product into almost in half. And then when you thaw it, you have even brought it down more. On a loaf of bread, which we can put out, we have 48 hours to sell. What we do, and what I have implemented, is that I don't give it 48 hours. 48 hours is too long for it. You give it a day and a half, depending when you make it. So what I have our people do is when they put the bread out, they put the time on the sticker when it went out. Then we go from the sticker time to the following day. Then I put it out in salvage. We do not keep product on hand. Cold cuts, once you open a package, say it's a ham, once they open it up, they have 7 days to sell it. Otherwise, if you don't sell it, you have to salvage it. Salads would be 3 days from the time you open the master container. Everything we do is from what the military tells us. On certain products, they give us 10 days on cold cuts. I have said no to that. 7 days is the top. 10 days is ridiculous. No product can hold up 10 days once it hits the air.
Now, you said it comes from a whole bunch of different places. Are any of those places local?
Dietz & Watson is a local meat packing area in Philadelphia. So we get a large amount of Dietz & Watson products. Boar's Head is from New York, and we get a large amount of theirs. Now the low quality products can be from Pennsylvania, from New York, from Delaware. It depends. From Virginia, Smithfield is from Virginia. They make hams and turkeys and stuff, which is not the high quality like a Boar's Head. But every product we get is approved by the military, and it must have an expiration date label on its package. Otherwise, we cannot accept it. So, not only that, a new thing that has come within the last year, and which we have delved into, because of the great amount of German, Asian, and Italian, we have went to those type of products. So basically, some of our products is coming from as far away as China.
Wow.
The Philippines, Italy, Germany, and that is a very interesting part of our business, which has grown tremendously. We started out with a 4-foot section in McGuire Air Force Base, which is now a 24-foot section. At Fort Hamilton, we started with a 2-foot section, which is now 12-foot section. So each base is moving up, and the amount of what we sell from other countries. Again, it has to be approved. But you would see that most of the products from overseas has a longer shelf life than the products from America. They're better preserved than what Americans have.
So does that mean